Mama's time is flying. It seems like no time at all, and our kiddos go from this to this. So, how do we make the most of this time?
If you're new here, I'm Rian, a Christ-following wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. Here we talk all things homeschool, and we will learn together how to use our roles as wife, mom, teacher, and homemaker in order to glorify God.
So it's no secret that quality time with our kids is important. I think if you are like me and have chosen this path of homeschooling, you already know this. You know that 18 years goes by real quick, and even quicker than we even think. Once it's over, we're going to look back and go like, what happened? What happened? And I think it's so important to really connect with our kids, to really bond with them. But I think it's really hard too, especially in this digital age that we're in. There's nothing new under the sun. There's always been distractions. There's always been things vying for mom's attention, for kiddos' attention. But I think this digital age, it's really easy to just let screens literally be in the way of, meeting with our kiddos face to face and really bonding with them. And I also think there's a hard balance to find. I think some moms give their kids their full undivided attention all the time and kind of forget, oh wait, I'm also a wife. Oh wait, I'm also supposed to be a friend. I'm also supposed to be all these other different things that God has called me to be. And so how do we balance this? And what does that look like? And why is it important? So like I said, I know those 18 years are going to fly by. We are only 11 years into our oldest kiddo's life, but it's well over halfway over. And I'm just like, what? Where is this time going? And I think it's important to invest in our kids as far as quality time and really getting to know them on a one-on-one level and really just connect with them, because 1, it's going by fast. 2, we want them to grow. And so yes, that is homeschooling them. That is taking them to church. That is discipling them. But that's also, getting down on their level and knowing where they are and what they're dealing with in the moment to help them grow through what they're going through right now. So if they're dealing with a bullying situation, if they're dealing with, lying or anger, or if they're dealing with someone, not treating them fairly, or whatever it is, feeling inadequate or feeling like they're not getting enough attention at home, or whatever the situation is, anything that comes up in our kiddos' lives, we need to be there and 1, even know what's going on, and 2, be able to talk them through it so they can grow through it, so they can glean wisdom from you and grow closer to the Lord in that season. And also, while we are their mamas now, there will come a time when we're still their moms, but we are not their authority any longer. But we want to be their friend. We want to be someone that they want to hang out with, someone that they do want to come to and spend time with and bring their grandkids around. So we do want to make those friendships. I'm not their friend now, I'm their mom now, but we do want them to love us and want to be around us. And so we need to build that foundation now. And I think, like I said, beyond just screens that are constantly in their faces and our faces, I think, the good things in life can also get in the way. They have their friends, their relationships, outside of the home. They have their school time, they have their play time, they have, as they get older, they're going to have jobs. Right now they probably have chores and whatever around the house, just like you do, but they're going to get jobs also. I mean, at least my kids will, maybe your kids won't. But I hope my boys will be working as they are teenagers. They're going to have extracurricular activities. They already have those going on. And so time is being taken away in little bits and pieces here and there. And so the available time we have left to, really love on our kids and connect with them is not very much. And so the ways that I've incorporated into our family, into real connection time between me and my boys, or between my husband and our boys, a lot of those are just part of our daily rhythms. And so it's not things where I have to set aside a huge chunk of time to. Now, there is an exception that I'll get to in a minute, but a lot of this is things that we kind of already do. So we always have dinner together. So how do I use that time to really connect to my kids? We always have evening time together. So what do I do then to connect us together? And so just so you know, it doesn't have to be a huge added thing to your list. It can just be a part of what you already do with your day. So one way we do this is during dinner every night, we go around and everyone says their high lows. And so this is their high point for the day and their low point for the day. And this just kind of helps you meet your kiddos where they are. So this helps you kind of see what they're struggling with as they share their low point. Sometimes things come up and you're like, oh, I didn't realize that was happening, or, oh, I didn't realize I did that. I had a kiddo a couple weeks ago say his low point was when Mama yelled at him. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't apologize for that one. I don't remember doing that. So we had a time of reconciliation and apologies and whatever. So that was very beneficial. And other times you just see like, you know, through their silly answers, sometimes they are silly, at least my kids are, you'll see, you know, just kind of their desires and their likes, their dislikes. And so it's a way to get to know them, but it's also a way to kind of get into their heart and see, oh, I didn't realize, you know, this was going on, or I didn't realize you were worried about this or upset about this. And then it helps them to get a little deeper with you too, because it sometimes seems as parents, we kind of like guard our children from what we're dealing with. And in a way, some of that is good. Some things they just don't need to know about. But a lot of times they really learn a lot from, you know, watching us go through things and do it faithfully. And so if they see us working through sinful issues or just different interactions with people, if they see us going through those faithfully, then that's obviously a learning lesson for them. And so when we do high lows and I share my high point, sometimes it's just like, I'm just glad we got through the school day. Or sometimes it's, you know, something more fun. And then my low point is sometimes, you know, it really made me sad when such and such happened during our day today. And it just helps them see that I am not just a machine. I'm not just a, you know, do your chores, do this, do that. But that there's emotions that go along with that too, that Mama is dealing with also. And so as I connect with them, they're actually getting to connect back with me. And same thing with my husband. My husband plays along with this too. Another thing we do with our evening time, we always have a family worship time. So like I've said, we use a devotional for that. That is going over the catechisms. I'll share that up above. And that is a time when, yes, we are learning about the Lord. Yes, we are diving into scripture and to what scripture really means, and kind of we have a prayer time where we just kind of put God's word in our hearts. It's also a time when we discuss these things. And so as we discuss these things, we're growing in our knowledge of the Lord together, and that is automatically going to bind us together. As we learn who God is, and we can put what we learn into our everyday application. So into our, you know, remember when this happened today? Well, that's how this fits into this. This is why we talk about God being sovereign, because when this happened, this was part of God's sovereign plan, even though we didn't like it. And we can walk with them through these different catechism questions we're learning, these different memory verses that we're working on. And we can, you know, get to our kiddos' hearts and let them see our hearts, and ultimately push on toward the Father's heart. And so that's another way that we just really bond and connect during our day. Another thing we love to connect over is a good book. And so reading aloud is just always something that everyone loves, just to cuddle up and dive deep in a story. We can laugh together. We can just enjoy good stories together, talk about them, and the story just does the work for you. And then another thing that my kids really love, especially my 4-year-old, is when we just play with them. And so my 4-year-old was gifted this castle with all these little figurines and whatever from a friend whose son was no longer using it. And he loves that thing. And so usually once a day, or at least every other day, he asks me or my husband, will you please play with the castle with me? So we get down on the floor, and I am not the best mom. It is not easy for me to put a halt on my day and be like, yes, I'll get down on the floor and play castle with you. Okay, I'm sure some of you are the same way. It's like, I have other things I need to do. But if I can just say, okay, I'll play with you for 10 minutes and then Mama's got to go tidy up something. He understands that, and he is so thankful for those 10 minutes. A couple of days ago, he was playing lightsabers with my husband, or what does he call them? Lifesavers, I think is what he calls them. But up and down the hall, they were just having this big old duel or whatever. And he loves that. That just fills up his love tank like nobody's business. And it's just a way for them to bond. But even my older boys who don't necessarily play imaginary stuff that often anymore, just going outside and throwing the football with them, going outside and jumping on the trampoline with them, or taking a walk or whatever, playing a video game with them even. They just love for us to play with them and do stuff that they like doing. You know how exciting it is when, you know, if there's something you love doing, if you love crocheting or if you love cooking or whatever it is, when someone comes alongside you and is like, ooh, this is really cool. Can you teach me? Or do you know how excited that makes you? That makes you so happy to share something you love with someone else. And kids are no different. When they really love a video game, that's why they talk your ears off about Minecraft and about Star Wars or whatever their thing is. That's why they do that. It's because they love to share what they love. And we do the same thing. And so when even if Star Wars isn't your thing, or even if Mario Kart's not your thing, whatever it is, if you just take a few minutes and say, hey, I'll play this with you, or I'll watch this with you, or whatever, your kiddos are going to love that, and it's going to bond you. Now, there are a few video games that are not allowed to be played on family game night at my house. It's because we get very angry with each other. And so one of those Mario games where like a character can run ahead and it leaves the other characters behind and kills off the ones who are lagging behind, and then we end up yelling at each other, and we decided we don't play that. But we do play Mario Kart, and it's a friendly competition, and it's really fun. Another thing is we like to find shows that we all enjoy, which is kind of hard sometimes because if I weren't there, they would be all Star Wars stuff all the time. But when Mama is home and we have like a family movie night or something, it's getting harder and harder to find movies that are allowed in our home, to be honest. But one thing we did do is we did get some older seasons of TV shows that were around when my husband and I were kids, and my kids actually really love them. And of course, my husband and I are in it for the nostalgia, but my kids are like, oh, this is awesome. And so we can bond over that. Now, the one thing that we do that, you know, does take intentional extra time out of our week is once a week we have a date day. And now this, I say date day, it's not the entire day, but we alternate between my husband and I going and which kids we go with. So we go oldest to youngest, and I'll take the oldest, and then he'll take the next one, and then I'll take the next one, and then we just rotate through like that. And then the fourth date is always, because the baby doesn't go on dates yet, but the fourth date is always just mine and my husband's date. We have an upstairs date, the kids go play downstairs, we watch a movie, or we get dinner, or we do a game or something. But when it's the kiddos' turn, we usually have a theme for the month, and this is very loose. So the first time we ever did it, we're gonna go out to eat. And so they got to pick a place, just them and mom, or just them and dad, whichever kiddo it was. And they got to pick the place to eat, and we just chatted over dinner, just the two of us. And then another time it was, you know, an outside date. You have to do something outside. So whether that was just, you know, my 4-year-old wanted to go on a walk. And so we went on a 2-mile walk throughout our neighborhood and just chatted the whole time. He told me he was going to have 14 kids one day, but didn't want a wife because he was too silly to have a wife. And I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work. I said, how are you going to get these kiddos if you don't have a wife? He goes, oh, I'll just pray for Jesus to give them to me. I said, okay. Another time we gave them, you know, $10 and said, let's go to an arcade. You know, so it doesn't have to be the same thing. It can be cheap. It can be even free. Another time we said it has to be at home and we're not spending money. So that was kind of a challenge, but it was super fun. My oldest son and I worked on a magic kit that they got a long time ago that we had never really used before. And so he learned a few magic tricks, and then he went out there and performed them for his brothers and his dad. My middle son that month built a model car that he hadn't done yet. He and my husband worked on that. It can be playing Legos with them. It can be, anything really, drawing with them or whatever it is they enjoy. It does not have to be anything expensive or super time consuming. It just has to be something that you can do one-on-one with your kiddo. It can take 30 minutes, it can take a few hours, depending on how much time you have, and it has become one of their favorite times of the month. So hopefully these few ideas have, kind of gotten you thinking, but for sure, let me know down below if there's things I haven't thought of. How do you take time to connect with your kids and to just really bond with them when time is so short, and, we want to know them and we want to meet them where they are so that we can help disciple them better. But we also want to be their friends so that when they're older, they still love us and they still want to come spend time with us. So let me know down below what you do for that, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.